MMA Shower on SRBRadio.com.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon and good evening wherever you may be, and welcome to the MMA Shower episode 12, sponsored by Hatton James Legal. For all your employment law needs, please go to hattonjameslegal.co.uk. Right, straight into the podcast. In this episode, we'll be exclusively previewing UFC 229, and there's a little fight on that card, Khabib versus Conor McGregor. And before I introduce the guests, I'm going to just go through the usual ways to contact the show. You can contact the show by email by the MMA Show 7 at gmail.com, the MMA Show 7 at gmail.com. Twitter is the MMA Shower handle. Twitter handle is at the MMA Shower, and Facebook page is Let's Talk MMA. Let's Talk MMA. Right. Going straight into the podcast, Let's Talk MMA. I'm really pleased to announce we've got 4 guests on the show to help me preview UFC 229. We're only going to preview the main card because there's a lot to talk about. So starting with the chap that's furthest away from my location, north of the border, is Mr. John McElroy.
How's it going, my friend? A pleasure to be on, as always. A blast. Really looking forward to this, man. We've all been waiting for Conor's return. It's finally here, and some good cards on, some big fights underneath as well. So yeah, super excited, man. Can't wait.
Excellent. And John has a fantastic podcast himself, the Martial Arts Chat. Recently celebrated his 100th episode. Was that last week? The week before, John?
The milestone, yeah, last week. Yeah, 100 episodes, man. Thank you so much. Martial Arts Chat podcast will be live tomorrow and giving our predictions as well. So yeah, glad to be in the 100 bracket now.
Yeah, well done there. So right, moving to the next guest is Matthew Penny of purelymma.co.uk, a fantastic website. I write some articles for that website as well. So Matthew, hello and welcome.
Thanks for having me back on, G. It's a pleasure to be back on. It's been a while since I've been on, so I've been looking forward to this one. I mean, this event, in my opinion, is the make or break event for the UFC this year. You know, they really need a good showing to do a pay-per-view buys. So it's going to be interesting to break it down and see what everybody thinks about it.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a good statement and a big statement, and a lot of pressure on the guy's shoulders. But if you was going to rely on anyone to bring in pay-per-view numbers, you're going to rely on Conor McGregor.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And to my right is a fairly regular guest on the show is Pretty Boy.
How guys? How's everyone going?
Cool.
Good to be back again. As Matt said, I think this will be a very interesting event, and I think it will be a make or break for the UFC this year in terms of pay-per-view buys.
Excellent. Thank you, Pretty Boy. Nice one. And last but not least, my sometimes co-host is former training partner Uki and punching bag.
Couture as well. Couture a few times.
And we had some good sessions. Marcus the Beast Cottrell.
Hello guys. It's nice to speak to you both, and thanks for inviting me back.
Excellent. So moving straight on to the meat of the show, trying to get a certain view from everyone, get a bit of an analysis, and obviously we'll predict as well, as we always do. I want to start off with the press conference, and for some fighters, the fight starts at the press conference. Not for every fighter. Obviously, Conor McGregor views it that way. In the past, you've had Tito Ortiz, you've had Chael Sonnen, but on the other side, you've had people like Dan Henderson, Fedor, Randy Couture. Didn't do any shenanigans in a press conference, just went to fight. So, and the Diaz brothers, they're obviously start fighting way before the press conference. So I want to go around the table and really get your thoughts on the press conference from a particular angle. Did you think that maybe someone made a point that could get into the other person's head? Did you think Conor was overreacting in certain parts? So I'll start off with Pretty Boy. Your thoughts on the conference, please.
I thought it was an interesting one because obviously it was no crowd were allowed, and so it was just basically media day. And I think, as Conor does, Conor kind of stole the show. It was all about him, his whiskey, and what he was basically gonna do to Khabib. And I think he's very clever in the way he does it as well, because when he says things, he does his research. He does fly off the handle a little bit, but then he'll have a meaning to what he's saying. So the things when he mentioned just like little things about Putin and I had the picture with him, where were you, kind of thing, and just trying to get into his head in every possible angle, really. Like I said, it was like he was running the show. It wasn't the UFC. I mean, Dana was drinking with him and it's like his best buddy, and then especially after the bus incident, Dana wasn't happy then. But all of a sudden now they're back to being best friends. So
sharing a whiskey.
That's it. And then I think he's a Proper 12 is actually co-sponsoring the event.
Yeah, he said he was going to be on the canvas.
So again, that's an interesting one.
But
I just think Conor made it about himself, and he made it about how this was the first part of the lead up to the week in terms of
start of the fight.
That's it. This was him trying to get into Khabib's head as much as he could. Okay. And I think he did pretty well in trying to do it. I mean, Khabib looked kind of relaxed, but I guess only time will tell whether that had a massive impact or not.
Okay. John, what's your thoughts on the press conference, please?
I mean, it's classic McGregor, wasn't it? It was, whether you had fans there or otherwise, he was in full-on Mac mode. It was interesting, some of the things I'd say. A lot of it was in jest, a lot of it was theatrics, a lot of it was to plug the sponsors, and a lot of it, as you can imagine, was jives to try and hit some nerves. He got up his father, he brought up, the thing between Chechnya and Dagestan, he brought up who's your man, it was a dictator and all that. Like he was trying to, touch your raw nerves, like he always does. He's always trying to think of something that's going to get you riled up and excited.
Yeah.
And he did seem a wee bit rattled from some of his touchier comments, I'll say that. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't really know whether it has I know Dana likes to say that Conor is the master of mental warfare, and he's probably, to a certain extent, he probably is. But I always find it hard to buy into how much this plays into until I saw Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo, and now I know it is part of Conor's repertoire. Really getting you, get you riled up and get your controlled game plan. It's like John says when it comes to match races, if you can make the fight your own and get the guy off his own fight, then you're already winning. So I do think this will probably go a long way, despite happening before Conor McGregor. So it was all very interesting. It definitely makes it an exciting fight. I know a lot of people are disappointed that there was just this press conference show and there's not, a promo going in the world or anything like that. But
it lost a lot of atmosphere. Yeah.
Sure, I mean, you could argue that they've lost, but at the same time, they're going to make so much money off of this fight that I think anything else by doing that will just be gravy. So Conor McGregor sells and that press conference will be a testament to that.
Yeah, that was a good point about the Jose Aldo. If you ever wanted to give an example of a fighter probably beaten before the fight due to media and mental warfare, that's probably the best example you could show. But I think that was a good point. Matt, your thoughts, please?
I think the bottom line for me is that there was no fans, so it doesn't really matter what Conor said. All his points were directed at Khabib, but there was no crowd to bounce off. So it's difficult to create. So it's hard when you're at home watching on your computer. It's hard to really gauge how hard hitting those points are when there's nobody like cheering it on or booing it or whatever. So it didn't help the fact that Conor was clearly drunk or on something. I for the first time, usually his points put across really well, and usually he knows what he's saying and it's all done very well. But at this conference, for the first time, you saw him stutter, you saw him sweating. It was like he was trying so hard. It was almost like he's sort of lost it a little bit and just was going for it so hard. I just thought it was a bit erratic, personally. And I'm a Conor fan. I'm a fan of Conor when he's in fight mode. So for me to say this now is pretty good. The fact that I credit Khabib because I think he handled it really well.
Yeah.
And he didn't really get rattled, even when Conor was chucking in all this stuff about Dagestan and
Chechnya.
Yeah. I thought he handled it quite well myself. He fired a few points back, but Conor was shouting so much he didn't really hear a lot of stuff that Khabib said.
Yeah.
And a point that a lot of people are overlooking is that the one time that Khabib did get rattled, it was when a Muslim reporter congratulated Conor on his whiskey.
Yeah.
And Khabib was like, well, hang on, you shouldn't be congratulating him on his whiskey. You don't drink. You don't drink alcohol.
Yeah, that's a good point. The reporter first said to Khabib, Salam Alaikum, and then the very next sentence was, "Oh, congratulations on your whiskey." And he said, "Why did you 1 minute say Salam Alaikum and now you congratulating on whiskey?" Yeah, very good point. Yeah.
That was the one time that you really saw Khabib like rattled, and it wasn't even at Conor. So fair play to Khabib, and I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but there is rumours that there's another press conference coming up later on this week.
Oh, that'd be good.
Where the public are allowed in.
Oh, so excellent.
That is when we can really gauge, the height for the spite of the fans.
Yeah, excellent. Marcus?
I agree with most of everything that's just been said. I don't think it works so well a press conference without the fans, because without the fans, the UFC ceases to exist. Mm-hmm. So excluding them, I think it adds to the atmosphere when they are there. So I'd also heard there was going to be a second conference where the fans will be there, a bit similar to when McGregor was fighting Mayweather, and they'd have several, build-up shows.
Yeah.
The press conference itself, it's all part of the mating ritual. There's two sides to a fight like this. There's the mental fight, and then there's the physical fight, in the octagon afterwards. Yeah. And I think Conor does
one of the best. Yeah.
Well, he does what's said on the tin. Yeah. He'll rattle you. I think he rattled Khabib enough, but I think Khabib is also smart enough to know what to expect. Yeah. And when you're fighting Conor, you're fighting him in the press conference, you're fighting him in the newspapers, you're fighting him on Twitter and social media, and you're fighting him in the octagon.
And his fans, if they're there.
Yeah, that's right. So I think it all went to plan, more or less. Dana, gets in the middle of them, calm down a bit. It's all drama, and drama sells tickets. So I'm looking forward to the second press conference, if that does materialise. But,
Cool. For me, I noticed a couple of points, and one of them was Conor offered Khabib a whiskey. Now, I don't know if that was ignorance or he knew exactly that Muslims don't drink.
Yeah, he knew, I think.
And I don't know if Ireland's not as multicultural as England or whatever, I don't know, but was that deliberate? So that was quite poignant. You should have just offered him a whiskey and a pork pie and be done with it, and a copy of the Torah, So if he really wanted to hammer the point home. But I thought that was pretty strange and sort of right on the edge. Yeah, he's been saying the Chechnya, Dagestan racial sort of connotations and sort of infighting or history or whatever there is in the Caucasus of Russia. So he's obviously playing that game with the dictator or whoever sponsors the gym in Dagestan and playing all that game. I think he's in prison in Russia under investigation. But I think Khabib came back with a good point, because Conor was going on about Dagestan, why your identity or something along the lines, you've diluted it. And Khabib, for someone whose second language is English and he's obviously not from the West, he's only been coming to America for the last 5 or 6 years. He said, well, why do the Irish speak English then? If the Irish have got your identity, why don't you speak Gaelic or Irish or whatever the official language is? And I thought that was very poignant and very smart of Khabib. And to do it on the spot, on the spin, I don't think he would have been expecting that kind of sort of question or where the conversation is going. But it was a great response. I think Conor made potentially a good point about if you don't make weight. Now, I know Khabib hasn't got a massive history of missing weight, and Ferguson, the missing weight with Ferguson sort of highlights everything. I think generally he's 98% there. But Conor said, you'll be ruined if you don't make weight. So Conor may get to him in that way. But I would say it probably helps Khabib's English is his second language. And Khabib, in his own way, has a certain way of trash talking with the Russian accent. So, like you guys, I don't know exactly who you give the points to. Both are very mentally strong, and probably, like Matt and Marcus said, if they have one in the week with the fans, that should be a bit more lively. But thank you for that. So we've got the press conference out the way. What I want to do before we go into your sort of fight analysis, I want to really get from the start of the show, who you think's going to win. So Marcus, who you currently got?
Why are you coming to me first? Okay, so
you're not going to stick to this for the whole show, but just who you think at the moment.
I think, following the Raging Al Iaquinta performance, I think Conor's going to jab him and stick him.
That's okay. I just need a prediction at the start.
I'll go with Conor.
Yeah. Because what I want to do is get your prediction at the start and see if they change at the end. Matt, just give me a quick Conor or Khabib, please.
Conor.
Okay. John.
It's hard, isn't it?
It is.
I'll go Khabib.
Okay. Was that Khabib? Yeah.
Khabib, yeah.
Yeah. Pretty boy.
I'm going to go Conor.
Okay, and I'm gonna go Khabib. Okay, we're gonna get straight into the analysis. What I normally do is sort of go for one fighter, and you would sort of go around and say why you think he's gonna win. So since Khabib is in the minority of predictions, I'm gonna go with Khabib. So Matt, if Khabib's gonna win, how is he going to win, do you think?
If he keeps Conor on the ground for the full 5 rounds, it's over. It's over. If Conor gets his shots in, which he 99% will, if Khabib can take those shots, his hardest shots, then that's it. It's game over. That's it. I mean, it's literally that. This fight is literally that. It's 50-50. Striking against the ground game. So if Khabib is going to win, keep Conor down for the 5 rounds. It might not be. It depends. If Khabib goes to the finish, then it will be cool. But if he just decides to dry hump him, as they say, for 5 rounds, the crowd might get a bit, because the crowd's probably going to be pro-Irish. So the crowd will be on their back. But if Khabib's going to win, keep Conor on the ground, and then you sort it.
Okay. And while you're there, what about Conor? What's his best way of winning and possible strategy?
Well, Khabib keeps his hands relatively low. He's not really looking to block shots. He's just looking at you to take you down, looking for a second to take you down or a leg. So, like I said in the Khabib prediction, if Conor gives his hardest shots and Khabib can't take it, then cool. I mean, it could be a Chad Mendes situation where Khabib dominates for 4 minutes, but then Conor's up for 1. And you can do heavy damage in 1 minute, teeing off on him. With all due respect to Khabib's last opponents, he hasn't fought massively great people. Barboza is a mid-ranked guy. Iaquinta was ranked 11th when they fought for the title. Khabib beat Michael Johnson, who was beaten by everybody. So this is going to be a huge, huge test for Khabib, and his chin is going to be tested. So if Conor wins, then it's going to be him getting his shots off, his hard shots off, and Khabib going down.
And do you think in a 6-week camp, 8-week camp, Javier Mendes is going to be focusing on stand-up for Khabib at all, or very minimally?
It's a difficult question. I mean, do you suddenly go from, because we know what Khabib's done, we know what he's done in the past. They haven't bothered. Because they've never fought a striker, such a great striker. So would you then change everything that you've done in the past and suddenly concentrate on defending those strikes? Possibly. Because I think Khabib's wrestled for so long. He might not even have to like train. Like he knows it so well. He might not. He might just do a little bit. You know, one day a week. So possibly.
Yeah.
I think you'd be stupid to ignore it and just hope that your chin holds.
Yeah.
But then Conor himself has said, "There's nobody that can replicate my style." Don't know if that's true or not, but it's hard. It's hard to replicate his shot.
Yeah.
For a guy his size, especially. So
yeah,
it's difficult. I think you would. I think you would train on defending the strikes.
Okay, Marcus.
So yeah, I think Matt's pretty much spot on. I think that Khabib does what he does best. He just puts you in a spin cycle, throws you around, sits on top of you, beats you up, hurts you, and then it's rinse and repeat. Do exactly the same for the next 5 minutes. Conor, I'm sure, will have been working on his takedown defence, but Conor will also be coming off the fight that he had with Mayweather, knowing that he's probably the best striker in the UFC. And so, Khabib just stick to what he does. It's all floor work. He drains you. It's so difficult, from the endurance point of view, to try and survive an onslaught that Khabib can do. I mean, Khabib can beat up bigger guys than him just on the ground because he's so naturally strong. His centre of gravity is low. And he's just a bull. He'll come at you, and unless you're prepared, you really won't know what to expect. So Khabib, I think, like Matt just said, you do a bit of boxing work, you do the basics, but stick to your strengths, and that is just tidal wave you.
Okay, thank you, John. Can you give us your analysis breakdown, please? Yeah, just give me your analysis of the fight, Khabib and McGregor. Just breakdown.
I think it's going to go down, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you guys have already said, so I just got a wee bit that it's all about who's going to impose their game. And if Conor can keep the most terrifying wrestler at a distance on the end of a jab, then can make it a game very, very difficult to do. If you can keep distance, I mean, halfway better than Edson Barbosa kept distance, God knows he tried. Then you might be, we're up against. We do fan questions on our show, as you know, and one of the fan questions was someone had made the comment saying that all Khabib has is wrestling, he hasn't got any striking. And it's a guy like Nurmegomedov, that level of grappler, he isn't just all he has is grappling. What he has is the grappling. He is grappling. He's the man. He's the ultimate, especially that way. So as soon as he gets a hold of Conor, I mean, this is really when you put a gun to my head there, it's a big one, Conor, it could be. The reason I chose Khabib is I just can't see it not being in a clinching situation. And as soon as it is, he'll get his hand locked and he'll get that guy down. And it just can't survive that. Can he survive that long enough for the bell to ring and he gets a chance to stand up again? I really don't think so. I definitely think Conor can knock Khabib out, of course. I think he's not almost but it's going to be a grappling clinic. I don't think he's going to even look for the finish. I think if he gets a hold of him and he realises how easy it's going to be for him on the ground, which is with every single opponent, he'll then clinic on this guy for 25 minutes. He'll put a beating on him for sure.
And do you think Cardio's Conor will start to wilt after round 3, maybe 4, 5?
I can't see him not having cardio issues. He always has. His losses have always been because he ran out of gas. Look at Nate Diaz, look at Floyd Mayweather. These are all because he doesn't have the tank. And Khabib's got the pressure to test anyone's gas tank. But like I said, man, maybe if he does well, Khabib will take his foot off the gas. If he dominates, which I think he's very capable of doing, he's not looking for the finish. He's looking to. It's like I don't know, the evil child who's caught an insect and is pulling his legs off one by one. You know, that kind of thing. I think he's going to have some fun in there, and I think he'll get the job done for sure. Okay, excellent.
Pretty boy.
Yeah, I think the only way Khabib can win is really try and get Conor down and just maul him like he does. Just going back to John's point about the Barbosa one, when he just literally chased him down, I think that was more of trying to keep less of a distance so Barbosa couldn't use his kicks, because obviously Barbosa is mostly known for his kicks rather than his strikes from his fists. So I think if I don't think he will have that same pressure as he did on Barbosa with Conor, because if that happens, I mean, with Conor's reach, he's got like I think a 4 reach advantage over Khabib, so he'll just pick him off bit by bit, I think. And then it'll be the question is when he shoots, Conor usually puts that front leg kick out. So if any time he shoots, is he going to put that out? I'm not too sure. But again, with what John and Matt said about his gas tank, it's not the best. Plus, he's been out of the octagon for nearly 2 years now. I know he had that fight with.
That's a good point. It's a different kind of fitness for boxing.
Yeah, I know he had that. Like I said, the boxing with Mayweather. But again, that was 3 3-minute rounds rather than 5 minutes.
Yeah,
5-minute ones. So again, I think it will be interesting just to see if he does get him out. It'll be in the first 2 rounds, I think, because after that he'll tire, and then once Khabib grabs a leg or grabs his foot or anything, he'll take him down easily. I think Khabib will try and back him up to the cage as much as possible, and then use his grappling to push him up against the cage, and then try and throw him down basically.
Yeah.
Any way possible. He'll just have to be careful with putting his head in positions where Conor can maybe elbow him or just hammer fist him to the head or anything like that. And even with trying to shoot, Conor is pretty decent at sprawling.
Good
I think,
defense.
Yeah, his defense. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. But I think he's improved since the Chad Mendes one, where he did get taken down fairly easy. Again, Chad Mendes was an elite wrestler, and as
and Conor wasn't. He was just standing there.
Exactly.
So he wasn't really worried about his takedown.
Exactly. And then even then, when he did take him down, he was just taking the beating, and he's trying to do things from the bottom. But I think with Khabib, it would be a different story if he does take him down.
Yeah.
I don't think, as John said, he will try and finish him. He will try and maul him for a full 25 minutes if he gets him down.
Yeah.
And that will be it. So I think the key is just Conor keeping his range and trying to keep Khabib in his range, but not so much so he can try and take him down, but just enough so he can punch him here and there.
Use his reach.
That's it. Yeah.
It's the classic fight, the wrestler versus the boxer.
Stand up. Yeah.
Do you remember some years ago there was a fight? Dan Henderson fought Rusuma Palhares.
Yeah.
And Henderson knew if Palhares got him on the ground, it
Brazilian
was game
jiu-jitsu.
over.
Yeah.
So Dan Henderson was very clever. He struck, he jabbed,
and Henderson is an Olympic
and
Greco-Roman wrestler.
He didn't even use his wrestling, and he sprawled each time Palhares went for the takedown.
Yeah.
And I think Conor's smart enough to use those kind of tactics.
Yeah, and I think one of the I was watching a few fights before this podcast. I think one of the fights could be a blueprint for this fight is Khabib versus Michael Johnson. Now, I know Michael Johnson is not the elite striker that Conor is, but he is a southpaw.
He hurt Khabib.
And he hurt Khabib as well, yeah. And this was in the first round, and Khabib had trouble in the first round trying to take him down. Because Michael Johnson's footwork was pretty good, and when he landed the first couple of blows with his left hand and tagged him and slightly stunned him, was pretty effective. It was only when Khabib took him down the first time they scrambled a bit. Then again, but in round 2 you could visibly see Johnson wilting from trying to get back up. So that's why I say that could be a blueprint, is where if Conor stays in that particular range where he's not really in harm's way, but Khabib can't get a takedown, then obviously Conor has the advantage. But if Khabib can tie him up in some way, then that would obviously favour Khabib and to take him down. I don't think Javier Mendes is going to work that much on Khabib's stand-up. What could you do in 6 weeks? He's not going to put his hands up. He's not going to be orthodox. He's got where he is the way he has. This is definitely a step up in class, but I think Khabib's going to be looking at maybe a single leg rather than a double leg, because Conor does have quite a wide fighting stance. It's almost like a Shotokan karate stance where it's quite wide, but he does have good movement with his feet. So I think everyone knows who Conor's best chance is knock him out quite early because of his cardio issues, and Khabib's best chance is regarding his wrestling. But he's not just like an American wrestler. He's a more of a submission wrestler, where American wrestlers is points and pins, but Khabib is effectively, you know, submission wrestler with sambo and judo to back it up as well. Just moving around, does anyone think Conor's wrestling will improve or has improved?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has to. When you're going up against Khabib, you'd be an absolute fool to not do any wrestling or jiu-jitsu. I know he's got Dylan Dennis in his camp, who is a Bellator fighter, so you don't even want to know in professional MMA, but I think he has, I could be wrong, but I think he has a lot of titles in jiu-jitsu.
He's a master grapper.
Yeah, so he's only fought once in professional MMA, but
Yeah,
that there,
in grappling tournaments, he's one of the best. Yeah.
Yeah, and Conor's put a lot of photos up with them two working. I think they're pretty much, whenever you see them out in media and stuff, they're always together. So
Wasn't there a rumour that Conor was going to get Jordan Burroughs, the double Olympic American?
I heard Ben Askren as well was helping him, but then he denied that, which usually means it's true.
I think they both shut that down on Twitter. I think quite quickly after they all said, "Oh, good luck to them," but I'm not interested in them taking part.
Yeah.
But I think you'd be an idiot if to be Conor and not focus on jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I think it depends on how they view it. If they view, look, Khabib's going to take us down. He's going to take me down. What can you do? Well, you can obviously work off your back, or you can practice escaping off your back. And that may be the focus rather than trying to out wrestle Khabib, or you just either accept he's going to take you down, work off your back, escape, or you obviously don't let it get that far and practice your defensive wrestling. But there was definitely rumours about Ben Askren as well and Jordan Burroughs, but I think they got shut down.
I think you touched on some good points there. I think everyone here has all said, you're going into a fight against a shark, you're going into some waters, so you've got to learn how to survive in that water and then get back onto land.
And expect you're going to be in deep water.
Yeah, and then get back onto the land where you can fight your kind of fight. So.
Yeah.
Agreed, yeah.
But that's what's the point. It's not. He doesn't have to train to fight him in a wrestling battle. You need to train just to try and avoid getting taken down.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if Conor just stood there for 3 hours and let Dylan take him down 4 hours straight. Just defend it.
Just sprawling. Yeah.
And he was decent. He had decent sprawl against Eddie, I think it was, when he had a couple of attempts to take down.
Yeah.
So after an 8-week camp, you won't become a master, but you get pretty good. He's not an amateur.
No. He's very good at his balance as well. He can shift his balance very quickly.
Like GSP,
I think
BJ Penn.
His wide base stance helped him, shifting his weight around on the back foot or the front foot, and then just moving like out of danger kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's got good footwork. I think that's why even when he was boxing against Mayweather, his footwork was pretty decent. Obviously, he's not as good as a boxer would be, but he's got that balance and that kind
of... And he can transfer power from the back foot to the front foot.
Exactly,
when he comes with his left hand.
Yeah.
He's obviously putting a lot into that left hand with his weight, and it's a highly effective knockout blow. So.
Well, how does Khabib like being on the floor himself and being on the receiving end of a takedown? Because Quinta, you remember when that fight?
That's a good point. I don't think he's ever been taken down. I can't remember Khabib being on the mat. But
not for a long time, maybe a few seconds, but he jumps back up.
Yeah, and another interesting fact is Khabib obviously hasn't lost a fight in MMA and in UFC. I don't think he's ever lost a round.
Yeah, apparently not. He said it in a press conference. He said I've never lost a round.
But you've got to. I'm not taking anything against Khabib's performances because he is superb at what he does. But is the quality of opponents there?
Which is what Matt said earlier. There is a question mark there. You can't deny that.
I just think his stand-up got exposed against Ali Quinta. It just showed that he couldn't. If he stands up with Conor like that, he'll I think he'll get knocked out.
Nobody gave Iaquinta a hope in hell,
No.
and yet he going 5 rounds.
He was a 24-hour
He
replacement.
did fantastically well.
Yeah, but
That's the thing as well, G, I think you said earlier, the Michael Johnson fight, I criticised Michael Johnson earlier for being beaten by literally everybody, mostly at featherweight, and that is kind of true, and even then, like you said, Johnson rocked it in the first round. So if you have a similar fight to that and have somebody with Connor's power, oh my God, it could. I mean, if you look, like you said, if you look at the Michael Johnson fight, if the same thing happens against Connor, I mean, legit, you could be knocked out from that.
Yeah, definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I say it could be a blueprint, both fighters, Conor McGregor and Khabib, could take something from that fight. Conor could take that Johnson rocked him and was controlling some of the distance, and obviously McGregor's 20-30% better than Johnson at that game. But Khabib could say, if I survived the first round and maybe scrambled a couple of times, Conor's cardio or the lack of cardio could come into play as well. So that's why I would implore people to watch it, because that could give you a very good view of how the fight could go either way. Either fighter could take something from that fight.
If I was a fighter and I watched the Iaquinta fight and I understood the reasoning behind Iaquinta being called in on such short notice, I wasn't that impressed. I know Khabib won every round undoubtedly, but Iaquinta, 24 hours notice, he's not even a top 5. He's never held a world title fight. He did remarkably well. Now, in theory or on paper, Khabib should have blitzed Iaquinta within the first 2 or 3 minutes. Yeah. So that's going to give Conor a huge amount of confidence.
I just think sometimes when someone steps in at late notice, because you've been training for a particular style or particular person for 8 weeks, and then someone just comes in, and then it's just like, oh, I didn't really train for this person, but I just kind of feel my way into the fight, and then
plays in your head,
take it as it is, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But again, I do agree with Marcus. It didn't look anything special to come off and win the interim title like that. It's kind of an anticlimax in a way, because you were kind of looking forward to Tony Ferguson and Khabib, and obviously he dropped out because of that injury he had. But yeah, I agree in a sense. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Right, I'm gonna finish off the podcast with a round of predictions again. Starting with John. You still going for Khabib?
I don't know, man, because you guys I have to hedge my bets.
I know.
No, some great points made here tonight, guys, and I'm still sticking with Khabib, but maybe not as convinced as I was before when we started the chat here. So I just can't see how he's going to survive that grappling for the whole test. I guess from what we heard today that perhaps Conor is an improved person, 2-year gap or otherwise. Yeah. And Matthew, you make good points about the Dylan Dennis and stuff. So yeah, there's food for thought for me, but maybe my change of thought is maybe Khabib doesn't get it done quite as easy as I anticipated. But I'm still taking Khabib Nurmegomedov.
Okay, Matt, yourself?
Yeah, I'm reinforced, Conor, now after what we said about the Michael Johnson fight and the fact that Khabib couldn't finish Iaquinta, who was ranked 11, took the fight with 24 hours notice. He also had Iaquinta's back, by the way, in round 1. His arms were tied up.
Good point.
A grappler and jiu-jitsu and a wrestler as good as Khabib, you'd have thought he'd been able to get in a rear naked choke in that position. He was so dominant on the back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, reinforced. Conor win.
Okay, excellent. Pretty boy?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Matt and go for a Conor win. So I think he'll do it in the second round.
Okay. Marcus?
Yeah, I think the great, following what we've just discussed, there's so many variables and there's so much to discuss. It could go either way. I think everything John said is relevant, everything Matt said, everything Pretty Boy, same thing. There's so much to consider, but my head and my heart, I think, is saying Conor. I think he'll get it done. Yeah. I think he wants it more, and he gets wound up to that point he's a bit like John McEnroe. He works well under stressing himself out and winding his opponent up. And Khabib's a bit like Roger Federer or Schumacher, very calm and collected. But this is going to be a full-on, full-fat, high caffeine, full Coke fight, and I think I've got to go. I think it's under the circumstances suit Conor more. I think.
Before I just give my final prediction, I just wanted to ask John a question. John, do the Irish do original whiskey, or is it only the Scottish who do original whiskey?
Where's the original whiskey from? How dare you? From Scotland?
No. I know it's Scotch. I know it's Scottish. I'm just saying, have Irish got any claim on the whiskey, or are they just jumping on the Scottish bandwagon?
Well, I can't say that because they'll take the Jameson off me, so I'll flip the fist.
I think if you look at a whiskey from Scotland, only whiskey from Scotland can be spelt with a E-Y. Whiskey from everywhere else is spelt S-Y. America, Ireland, wherever, Japan, wherever. So that's how you know it's original Scotch, is with the spelling on the bottle. But I'm going to stick with Khabib. I agree with John. It's you could change your mind every minute. You could talk to your mate in the gym, you could talk to your mate in the pub, and then, oh yeah, that's a good point, and then you could have another chat and you'll be switching your mind. But it's whatever happens, it's going to be an amazing card. We haven't got time to talk about the rest of the card, but you've got Ferguson versus Pettis. Okay, Pettis is not what he used to be, but still you could possibly turn it on. And then Ferguson wins that. He's up logically, hopefully, maybe next, fight the winner. You've got Derek Lewis on the card against Alexandra, and heavyweight clash there. That's got a interesting jockeying off position in the heavyweight division as well. So it's a pretty big card, but obviously Khabib and Conor overshadow everything else and everyone else as well. So it's going to be an amazing fight week. Hopefully that press conference will happen with fans, and maybe we can revisit this with a review a few days later. But just before I close the show, John, you want to give your contact details and tell us your next podcast, please?
Thank you, sir. At Martial Arts Chat on Twitter, facebook.com/Martial Arts Chat. Just anywhere you can find a podcast, search for Martial Arts Chat as well. We're going to be live tomorrow. We'll be answering fan questions all about this, and giving our predictions as well as our thoughts on how it goes down. But thank you so much for having me on again, my friend. It's an absolute blast always. Thank you to all the guys in the panel as well. Some great chat here today. If you want to check me out, at Martial Arts Chat.
You're welcome. Yeah, and you're also on iTunes as well, aren't you?
iTunes, all the platforms, my friend.
Yeah.
Search for Martial Arts Chat.
Excellent. And Matt?
So we're at Purely MMA on Twitter and purelymma.co.uk. As you said at the start, G, you've done some articles for us, and we've got some more things coming up, some exciting stuff that I've got planned and potentially coming up. So it's all going on, but definitely follow us on Twitter at Purely MMA, because that's kind of my thing. I'm a social media guy. I like to get a good UK community on there, and communities from all over the world discussing about all things MMA.
Yeah. And I've got my article on purelymma.co.uk regarding assessing a fighter, one of the great fighters, and assessing their skills, called The Analyst. Is he all that? And I'm going to be, hopefully we can publish that maybe Monday or Tuesday, Matt, on Conor McGregor. I'm going to do one on Conor McGregor. Is he all that? So hopefully the listeners can give some good feedback on that. And so just to finish off, you can contact the show, the MMA Show 7 at gmail.com, the MMA Show 7 at gmail.com. The Twitter handle is G the MMA Shower, and Facebook is Let's Talk MMA. So thank you for listening. This has been the MMA Shower episode 12, sponsored by hatandjameslegal.co.uk. And wherever you are and whatever you do, have a good one. Thank you.
MMA Shower on SRBRadio.com.